trying to figure out how to one-arm get my notes out of the way, and I'm going to hand it over to Joanna to talk about another cult. Please keep it going, everybody, for Joanna.
Check. Is that working? No? That's okay? Okay. All right. So, welcome everyone to the first annual board meeting of Charles Manson LLC. Ted did a great job finding a conference room big enough to hold all the new and returning members. So, thank you, Ted. 1969 has really been a landmark year for this organization, and I'm so excited to share what Charlie and the family have been up to and their vision for an even more impactful 1970. So thank you all for being here, staying late on a Friday. We have a lot to cover, so let's get started. Our meeting agenda today will not only highlight the company's incredible accomplishments this year, but also provide a little background and level set expectations for some of our newer board members. We'll start with a profile of our leader and the mission that drove a lot of our work this year. Then we'll spend some time meeting the team and discussing other movers and shakers in this industry vertical. I'll spend some time covering the 3 summer offsites and finally wrap up with how the family's work really moved the needle towards meeting some ambitious goals for the 1969 year. Note that because our work is still ongoing, today's presentation is proprietary and confidential. So we ask that you don't share this information externally. While Charlie wasn't able to make it today, I am honored to sing his praises and highlight his rise to the C-suite. As a few of the more seasoned board members might be aware, Charlie's life started with some inherent challenges. He was born in 1934 to a 16-year-old mother who repeatedly abandoned him. He also took some big risks early on, which any young entrepreneur worth their salt would do. He ended up being institutionalized over 18 times. A lot of individuals would admit defeat, and he didn't. He rose from the chaos and instability and emerged as a guide who was well equipped to mentor young minds for the same society that failed him. So at the age of 32, having spent more than half his life incarcerated, upon his release from prison in 1967, just 2 short years ago, he decided to reinvent himself and lead our family to greatness. To grow professionally, Manson became a devout student of Scientology and underwent 150 hours of auditing, which allowed him to absorb mind control techniques. That certificate hangs proudly in his office today. On a more personal note, he learned to play the guitar while in prison and still has dreams of becoming a singer-songwriter. Charlie even collaborated with Dennis Wilson of the Beach Boys on a track they released last December. The Beach Boys people, wow. Put all of those talents together along with heaping amounts of charisma and the ability to influence and shape young minds. You've got someone that's really gonna break barriers. So what does someone with so much experience and clarity of purpose choose to do? Well, Charlie developed the ultimate mission, total domination. While this is an ambitious goal, especially for what you might consider a startup, the right leadership and a committed team can execute even the most unrealistic visions. Building the right go-to-market strategy is crucial. It not only moves us closer to accomplishing our mission, but engages supporters, grows the company's footprint, and really differentiates this organization from other players in the market. Our CEO developed a strong belief in the notion of Armageddon after reading the book of Revelations. That was in parallel with his Scientology studies. And as I mentioned before, he's also got an ear for music, and he frequently shares insights that the Beatles song lyrics hide subliminal messages. Disc 2, track 6, Helter Skelter, had a special meaning for him, to lead a revolutionary uprising that would cement the Manson family brand in history. Helter Skelter is sophisticated. So let's break it down. Let's talk about what this actually looks like in practice and how it achieves the mission. Phase 1, start by killing rich white folks and make it look like the murders were done by black folks. As the board is likely aware, Manson had some bad blood with the Black Panthers, so they fit nicely into this strategy. Consistent marketing messaging across multiple murders is going to keep the police off the family's trail. Phase 2, racial tensions would then incite a race war between black and white Americans. And while that fighting progresses, the Manson family is going to take shelter in a satellite campus, really just a bottomless pit in Death Valley, but they'll be able to pass the time with gold and virgins. Phase 3, after the blacks defeat the whites, spoiler alert, Manson and the family would then emerge from the pit and rise to power since they possess the most superior intellects. Easy peasy. All Charlie needs is the right team. Given Manson's professional journey and very clear mission statement, he needed a dynamic set of individuals that would support him in accomplishing these goals. So these folks recruited from Northern and Southern California. They're young, they're hungry, they're ready to be shaped, bubbling with potential, in white. There's not a DEI hire in This team is bound together by their belief in anti-establishment philosophy, deep appreciation for pharmaceuticals, and a strong devotion to their leader. The most loyal employees even think Manson's Jesus Christ. And there's some logic to that. Manson, man's son, God's son, Jesus Christ. Mary, down on the bottom row, was actually the first to join and the only staff member to produce a future employee with the boss. Can't really get more loyal than that. I would be remiss if I didn't recognize the team members that participated in the most recent Summer of '69 offsites. So special shout out to Tex, Patricia, and Susan, who attended more than one. If those three don't get an exceeds expectations on their end of year performance review, I would be shocked. Not all the family members participated in the offsites, as some are still growing in their professional careers, but I'm sure they'll go on to do great things. Maybe even a future presidential assassination attempt. Who knows? Earlier this year, the team moved into a new headquarters building, and they are loving it. Due to some expert negotiating, the family has been able to keep startup costs low for this sprawling campus by helping out with odd jobs and granting some sexual favors for the owner. Squeaky has received a hefty amount of MVP points for really going above and beyond for the good of the team. The ranch, as we call it, is an open style concept with a free flow of ideas, allows for uninterrupted collaboration. The staff are not required to reserve a space. Mattresses are on a first come, first served basis. And the campus can really easily fit the core leadership team as well as accommodate any additional support staff, temps, or interns. While there are no health benefits, 401ks, or stock options, the company does offer an unlimited supply of sex and drugs. We've gotten a lot of positive feedback on those employee perks. Manson, being the visionary that he is, established a best practice by choosing a work site which is above all isolated, free from distractions, unreachable by the outside world, where the team is really able to focus on the mission. Future industry greats will surely model this trend. So, who else is active in this market today? And more importantly, who is the Manson family competing with for visibility? So, in the beginning of this decade, the Boston Strangler really took the East Coast by the throat. His focus was on single women in the Boston area, 13 confirmed victims, most of whom were sexually assaulted and strangled in their apartments. Pretty basic. There is significant brand awareness here, but he had a fairly short-lived campaign. At the beginning of last year, we started seeing some activity in the Pacific Northwest. Who we now know as Zodiac began killing in Northern California, and just this past summer started communicating with the outside world via San Francisco newspaper. Zodiac opts for a combination of grisly murders and bizarre public letters while kind of teasing at his identity, and we appreciate that level of innovation. Unfortunately, these recent activities occurred somewhat in parallel with our July and August offsites, and we lost a little marketing steam in the media. We also have our buddy Jer up in Oregon. He kidnapped, raped, and murdered 4 women in Salem. He was actually arrested earlier this year, another bright star that just burned out too quickly. So now comes Charlie, who is very attuned to this industry, and he's more of a fast follower than a first mover, so he's going to wait to see what resonates in the market and assemble a strategy with the greatest potential of a successful entrance. Seeing that there's clearly an untapped market in Southern California, and with the family fully staffed, he chose this summer as the optimal time to make an entrance and differentiate himself and his team from all these other individual contributors. Helter Skelter really drove the roadmap for 1969. The mission was clear, there was alignment across stakeholders, and Charlie was ready to light the spark. Phase 1 starts here. Recall the go-to-market strategy. Kill whites, frame blacks, incite a race war, post-apocalyptic rule. All right, in terms of overall project lift, I would estimate this first offsite as a small one. The family members greatly outnumbered the victim. They all knew each other. They were comfortable coming and going from Hinman's apartment. He was a friend and a music teacher. He was not, however, an affluent man, which did veer away from the intended persona the mission dictated. This was more proof of concept, just to make sure that the family could collaborate effectively. Hinman was very much low-hanging fruit. He was a Buddhist that didn't believe in violence, so there was no pushback. The team synchronized the killing well and left the appropriate messaging and symbols in place to lead the police to suspect radicals. Political Piggy and Panther Paw were very much on brand. The next offsite required the most cross-functional collaboration, so I would rate this as an extra large. 4 family members were assigned, 3 of which would be active in the killing and 1 lookout. This would be Susan's second offsite, so she came with a good amount of prior knowledge and would take more of a leadership role here. The family had to identify the optimal point of entry, cut the phone lines, and there was less familiarity with the layout of the property. This time though, they hit the exact audience the mission sought to find. Tay was a movie star and the wife of director Roman Polanski, also 8 months pregnant with his baby. Abigail Folger was the heiress to the Folgers coffee fortune. Her boyfriend Wojtek Frykowski was an aspiring actor. Jay Sebring was a celebrity hairstylist and an ex-boyfriend of Tate's. And Stephen Parent was really just a friend of the groundskeeper. So wealthy, white, and a celebrity extra bonus, jackpot! Hinman barely even registered as the blip on the radar. There's tons of murders in LA, so this was the offsite to really make an impression. Marketing messaging was subtle, but Pig on the front door would open to a truly horrific scene. While the Hinman offsite lacked spectacle, the team corrected that error here. Victims were spread out well across the estate, and there was blood everywhere. Parent was killed as the family entered the residence, and after some dividing and conquering by the team, Tate and Sebring were killed in the living room. Folgers and Frykowski were slain on the lawn. The groundskeeper was actually home, but his radio was on, so he didn't hear anything, and no one heard him. With a limited budget, the team opted for knives and a single gun. Sebring, Frykowski, and Parent were all shot. Sebring's face was also completely bludgeoned by a gun beyond recognition. And everyone besides Parent was stabbed, with Frykowski taking the majority of that volume. So, the graphic scene plus the victim's celebrity, this one's gonna make the news. Less than 48 hours later, the third and final offsite commences. This would be the second offsite for Tex and Patricia. So incredibly quick turnaround time after Tate, which I'm gonna rate this as a medium. Not in the upper echelon of celebrities, but Leno and Rosemary LaBianca were wealthy and white by California standards. Another perfect match for the intended persona. The team made good use of materials. They used a knife and a 2-tine fork that was already on site and left them in the body because this isn't a robbery. Marketing messaging was really top-notch. 3 messages in total, written in the victim's blood, was really the grand finale. Helter Skelter did get misspelled, but the message was still. So, phase 1, now complete. All right, because this organization is focused on continuous improvement, we do take the time to do a deep dive into our work and recognize what went well and where there are opportunities for improvement. So, what's worked phenomenally well for the family is the lack of collaboration between the LAPD and the LA County Sheriff's Office, plus really gross incompetency by both agencies. At the Tate seat alone, police disturbed evidence, tracked bloody footprints inside the house, forensic missed taking blood samples, and there were a mere 50 fingerprints lifted from the scene. I'm in PR, and even I know that's too few fingerprints. While there are overlapping resources assigned to all 3 murders, each is being treated as a separate case. Best guess for LaBianca. Best guess for LaBianca is a copycat or mafia hit. So in short, they're clueless. Susan was recently arrested in connection with the Hinman offsite. This is often the price of doing business in our industry, and did brag to one of her cellmates about her professional experiences. Not great. We have adjusted our onboarding procedure to avoid any future bragging, and all staff will need to sign an NDA. Hello? All staff will need to sign an NDA prior to their first day of work. But we couldn't be more pleased with the amount of attention our mission has received. The marketing team has absolutely everything they need for various pieces of collateral and our new member training. We are keeping an eye on the LaBianca detectives. They do seem to be connecting some dots. But all in all, we feel very, very successful for the 1969 year. Before I close, I wanted to once again recognize all the hard work of our executive team, the dedication of our staff, and the strategic oversight of this board. Your support means so much, especially as we are this close to an impending race war. Looking ahead to next year, Charlie and the family are well positioned not just to sustain this momentum, but to accelerate it. Cheers to an even more impactful 1970.
Keep it going for Joanna, everybody! Matt, do we have a backup microphone? Can people in the back hear? Yeah? Okay, kinda. All right.